Okay, so ignore the crying baby. In this video, instead of just having particles that spawn out of nowhere, we're going to have it so they spawn from an object. So for example, if I get a sphere and I go to Nparticles, emit from object, what it's going to do is going to spawn from the vertices that this object actually has. So if I was to delete this and get something like a plane, just to show you where they are spawning from, and if I turn these off, so it only has 4 vertices, Nparticles, emit from object, boom. So yeah, you can do something like that. If you wanted to like simulate rain or something, you can do like 25 by 25, just so there's a lot of points where the particles actually come from. Obviously that is quite a lot of particles. So at frame 1, if I press S, I've keyframed that there, and at frame 120, if I move this over here and press S, what's going to happen is when I play it, I'll start spawning all these particles. So obviously it's spawning thousands of particles from each vertex, which is a big amount, but just so you know. Right, so a majority of you will have a exhaust on the back of your car. I'm just going to make a quick exhaust. There we go. Right, so here's our exhaust for later. So before we actually parent our particles to follow this exhaust, we are going to make our custom smoke effect. So if I create an emitter and pull this up, just so I can see my particles. Yep. And then in particle shape, I'm going to go back to shading, change this to sprites, which will give us the cards. And then I'm going to open up Photoshop. Obviously, if you don't have Photoshop, you can use something like GIMP. Has all the same features, just it's free. Okay, so when Photoshop is open, we're going to create in pixels a document that is 512 by 512. Oh. So pixels 512 by 512. This is pretty big for a particle. I'm just going to show you the effect of what happens depending on what you're actually using. So, if I turn the background off, so I want to have this checkered pattern, which obviously means that everything behind it is transparent. What I'm going to do with my brush, turn the hardness down, and I'm going to pick a grey. I'm just going to dot about. If I turn the opacity down, I'll get some nice mismatch of colours, like so. And then if I change this to another colour, just give it some variety. Just something as simple as that. We go File, Save As, Save to Computer. Just going to chuck on a desktop. So we call this Test 1 Smoke. I'm going to save it as a PNG, so it still has transparency on it. Beautiful. Right, so what I need to do while my animation is playing is drag over the actual particles themselves, hold right click, assign new material, and then if we go into Maya, we can go on blend, and we got the one that says transparency as well as color. So first I'm going to set the color as a file. Click on the folder, locate my test smoke. If I press 6 on the keyboard, so the good thing about blends, it automatically plugs in your transparency layer. Because it's a PNG, it supports transparency. So if I play this, we got the start of a pretty cool smoke animation. So again, I can make it so the nucleus is seen as the ground, and this will give us like a different effect. Right. So I'm going to change the colour of my background so you can see a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is select a parent, select a child. So in this case, the parent is our exhaust, the child is our emitter. The best way to see it is you sticking with your mum in a supermarket when you're younger. So the child is going to follow the parent wherever it goes. And then we switch this into rigging or animation, and we apply a parent constraint. So now, wherever this goes, that emitter is also going to go. So for example, if I attach this to a motion path, select my exhaust, motion path, attach to motion path, then I just make this so it is facing the right direction. Now when I play it, I got smoke coming out the exhaust. So obviously with this, there's a couple of settings that we want to change. So one of the most obvious ones would be the lifespan. So I don't want it to live forever. So between 4, so obviously this is 4 seconds. This lifespan random is -1 or +1 to 4. So they will either die at 3 seconds or 5 seconds. Which in this case is too long because it's still staying there. So we set this to like 0.5 and then have this to 200. So we get different looks. And also you got like self collide. Do you want them to bounce off each other? And then also we can add things like we had in the previous video in terms of different fields. So fields and solvers. We can have some air. Not yet, we can't. Click over the object, field solvers, air. And depending on what these settings are, it's going to depend on how that actually affects it.